Here, let's disable the YouTube chat, and then gotta get to the Discord. Pause this. Okay, here we go. How's it going, everybody? My name is Tim, and I go by Foamy Guy on GitHub and Discord. Plugged in all the way. Sure. See, this cable does this to me on a couple devices. There we go. I think that's actually straighter in there. Anyway, though, before we just jump straight into that, we'll be working with CircuitPython stuff in this stream or on this video if you're watching this in the future. CircuitPython is a version of Python that's going to be running on little tiny computers like this one. This is a Adafruit Funhouse device. The actual main computer of it is in the back inside of this covered chip thing here. So this one, obviously, it's shaped like a little house. It has a screen on the front of it. It's got some plugs for us to plug a couple of things in on the side there. We're writing Python code that runs on little devices like this. There's lots of other different shapes and sizes of these devices. Here's a totally different one here that's like a little gamepad that can run the same sort of stuff on it. We're writing Python code that runs on these. If you want to learn more about that, head over to CircuitPython.org. This is a good place to learn more. Also, the Discord chat, which is on the screen there, the Adafruit Discord, that's a good place to learn more as well. There's a CircuitPython dev channel. There's help with channels if you're trying to do something, make a project or something like that. You need help with it. So that's what we'll be working on. CircuitPython is open source, so everybody is allowed to help out and contribute. You can learn more about that, again, on the Discord or CircuitPython.org. This company here, Adafruit, which is also the Discord down there, Adafruit's Discord, this is a company that is primarily, providing the financial backing for CircuitPython by paying the developers who work on it and the folks who foster the community around it, put out newsletters and, of course, work on code and PRs and things like that, but also blog posts and learn guides and all kinds of things in the CircuitPython ecosystem. Adafruit is the company paying for it, so they pay folks to work on the project full-time. Some folks like me work on the project part-time and are paid by them. So definitely thank you to Adafruit, and if you want to purchase hardware from them, that will help support all of us working on CircuitPython and related things. So today's project will actually be a little bit differently. I'm jumping out of the world of displays for a little bit here. I think I teased yesterday I'd work on bitmap tool stuff, but I changed my mind and I want to play with LEDs a bit today. So I have wired up here on my Funhouse a NeoPixel strip. You can't really see it, I guess, because it's turned. I think once the lights turn on, we'll be able to see it through the camera, but this is basically just a flexible strip, spendy, flexible strip of a bunch of RGB LEDs. Each one of these is an RGB LED. We can write that Python code again. We can write the code to, individually light up each LED to whatever color we want, and we can change them very fast. We can turn on this one and then turn on the next one and then turn on the next one all the way down the row extraordinarily fast. So we can kind of have some neat animation effects by turning them on and off very quickly. That's kind of generally what these things are. What I want to do with it specifically is kind of make a reaction test game where ultimately my LED strip is going to be laid out flat. It's going to be easier to film like this with it in a circle here. So unfortunately, you'll have to kind of imagine just if we had this laid out flat. But the idea is going to be the LED goes back and forth, up and down across the strip over and over really fast. It just is bouncing back and forth. In the center of the strip, there's a little zone of, maybe a couple or maybe even down to one LEDs. There's a zone of a couple, LEDs in the middle there. And while this thing is bouncing back and forth, your job is to push the button. You've got a nice big button here. Your job is to push the button when it is in the middle, in the hot zone in the middle. So if you stop it when it's in there, then I think you're going to go on to the next round where the LED is going to bounce faster. It's going to move even faster the next time around, so it'll be a little bit harder. And it will basically, you'll just keep doing rounds until you don't manage to stop it in the middle, or until you, quote unquote, beat the game. I don't know if we'll put a max on it or what, but that's kind of the rough, high level idea of what I want to do here. I never did actually put the links in the chat, which I usually do. Let me do that. Let's go. This is not quite the right link. Yeah, usually. Let's go here. Let's see. Oops. That's... You just link me an actual link. Why does it gotta be that way? What? Give me some weird links here when I try to copy them. Let's do that one. There we go. Okay. Let's close that back out. I did disable the chat, right? Yeah, okay. C. Grover, how's it going? Good morning. Yeah, thank you. But the plan is I'm gonna set this up at a table. We're going to this, it's kind of like a weekly art market thing that pops up. People bring tents and set up tables and stuff and sell all kinds of different arts and crafts and things. My wife sets up there and sells some bags that she made, so I figure I'll set this up on the table and let people play with it as they walk by. So I think to start with, we need to just kind of get a loose framework of like rounds inside of a loop and our LED bouncing back and forth, and then we'll just kind of build outwards from there. This is a... it's the NASA flight tracker of some sort. Let's see here. Alright, so we will definitely want NeoPixel. We definitely will want a main loop. We'll figure out the structure as we go here. We might have another loop inside of here that represents one person playing the game. We'll probably also time out as well and go back to the first level, like if you walk away from it without winning or losing. Yeah, I think also do I want to use LED animation? I think I may want to skip LED animation for now. Just because I really want basically a single LED on while it's bouncing. And I want the zone you're supposed to land in the middle to light up as well, and that's kind of separate from the animation. There's maybe a way to do it with LED animation, but I think we'll just go basic NeoPixel for now. And I am plugged into A2 here with my NeoPixels, and I think this should allow me to do it. I have them plugged into one of these JST ports here. I have a strip with that plug on the end, so I think that should work for me. One thing I don't know off the top of my head for 100% certain is the constructor for NeoPixel, honestly. I think it's just the pin, the number, brightness. Might be it. Auto write, pixel order. Some of those have defaults, I think. Auto write. I think we want auto write true for now. We'll change it later. We need to. Brightness, let's start there. We will be outside, so maybe we'll adjust the brightness, or maybe I'll figure out a way to, maybe I could use the onboard buttons on the funhouse to adjust the brightness or something. How's it going, Dexter? Good morning. Oh, is this chat not updating? Or did I, oh, I paused this one. Or I paused this one. Okay, here we go. Yeah, it is updating on the one that's actually playing. Imagine that. Okay. Pixel pin, so this is gonna, should be probably just board A2, I think. A2, we'll import board, I guess. Yeah, need that. Import board. I don't actually know. Probably 30 is my guess. I'm gonna guess 30. And we'll just do some experimenting, like 0 equals, you know, blue, red, green. What is that? RGB, green. Turn 1 on. Does that work? Yeah, that works. Okay, so we got 1 out here. So now I'll do pixels 29. And if that turns on the last one, then we know that we do have 30. Oops. There we are. Oh, no, not there we aren't. Yeah. There we go. That's the last one. We do have 30. We don't need this. Basically, inside of here, we're going to loop from 0 to 30. Well, 0 to 29. We're going to set the current pixel on. Going to turn the previous pixel off. Is it, it's probably most efficient to only turn off the 1 rather than just using fill, I would assume. So I don't actually know. So let's go pixels I equals, I think I'm gonna make a cur color, and we'll plan on having a way to change this, like maybe as the game goes on. As you pass each level, you get a different color, or I don't know, maybe just random colors. I don't know, it'd be good to have it as a variable though, so we can mess with it later. I'll start with blue. No, I'll start with green. Maybe I'll start with teal. Best of both worlds, I guess. So we want to turn the current one on. We want to turn the previous one off, but for the first time, it's weird, isn't it? I guess if we put this to -1, then it would turn the last one off, which wouldn't actually do anything the first time through. But the next time through should always turn the previous one off if we keep updating that. I think that's right. 0 for off. Put that to I for next time. The first time through the loop, I is 0. This is -1, so it turns off the last pixel, which won't actually be on, but that's okay. Prev index becomes 0. We go around again. We're 1 this time. We turn on the next LED. We turn off the 0. Yeah, and we just keep going up. We'll worry about the end as well at some point, but let's just see if that runs through. Whoa, super fast. Yes, it does. Okay, so we'll definitely... That's like mega hard mode right there. We'll slow this way down, and I think we'll also be bouncing back and forth rather than just going around and around and around and around. So first, let's do time. We're going to import all of time, the very core concept, the existence of time, and the Python API for waiting a minute. Let's go time.sleep. And we're going to use a variable for this as well. Let's call it cur delay, maybe? Cur delay? Or delay speed? Speed delay? Start with cur delay and see what we think later. Delay, I don't know. We're just going to say something like that. Let's see what that does. Okay, so that's like super easy mode. That's maybe a good place to start. Okay, so I'll leave it there for a minute. And, you know, we'll just make this smaller and smaller and smaller. That will make the game speed up to make it harder there. So, okay. So let's make it bounce. I think what we're gonna do to make it bounce, whoops, is just another for loop. We could like run this backwards. We wanted, we could also just -29 minus, couldn't we? Or pixels, length pixels, -1 minus I? Is that a weird way to do it? We will want to do this instead of I by itself. That should bounce backwards, right? Yeah. I don't think I want to turn off on the last one. See how it like blinks off at the end? I don't think we want to do that. We want to stay on. Funhouse has a light sensor. If you want to complicate setting the brightness level, interacts with the TFT backlight. It can be fixed with a spot. Oh, the TFT backlight sees the other way around, rather. The light sensor sees the TFT backlight. I will be outside, under a tent, but still outside. So it will likely be very bright compared to in here, certainly. That may be interesting to set it based on the light, the ambient light. Or maybe, because there's up-down, I may just have it do up-down for brightness, and it'll go up or down one chunk at a time, you know, maybe 10% at a time or something. That way I can just adjust it. The other thing is I've got USB-C cable and a USB-C OTG, and I figured out that newer Android phones, they actually see the CircuitPy drive. So older Android phones, they didn't see CircuitPy drive because it's FAT 12 or 4 or so. I don't know which one. It's an older file system that was used on much smaller devices, maybe floppies or something. I don't actually know the full history. But the file system format is older, and because of that, it wasn't used in media really too much until recently, and so the older versions of Android actually didn't have an implementation for it. So it didn't show up as a drive. I actually made an Android app that worked kind of like, what's the MicroPython? I think the way like Thonny loads code, it loads it through the REPL, but also there's a command line tool that does this. The name of it escapes me, but basically it relied on setting your drive to writable inside BootPy, and then it basically used the REPL to call like f.write to update files on the device, and it could take those files from the phone. But now it's much easier on the phone. You can just plug it in, open it up in a file explorer, open up CodePy in a text editor, edit it, save it, and it runs. Everything works just like a PC on my phone now, at least. So I'll be able to adjust some of this stuff on the fly, potentially. So for the last one, do we just, I guess we just don't turn off on the last iteration, is that right? So this is gonna hit 29. On 29, it's gonna turn the last one on. It's gonna turn 28 off. It's gonna set this to 29. Okay, so actually when it gets to here is when it turns 29 off. Maybe we say... Well, but it's tricky too, because we do want to turn 29 off after 28 comes on. What if we said if prevIndex is not equal to the index we're about to use, which we should probably make a variable for, instead of copying this whole expression a bunch of times, especially if it turns out we got the expression wrong. Still possible at this point, I'd say. What if we say if prevIndex is not equal to curIndex, then do this, otherwise don't? Is that gonna leave the ends on? Yeah. I don't know about this one though. It seemed like it worked. Let me get a better look at this end. Oh yeah, I think that's a good effect. It's very posy on here. The camera can't quite keep up. It goes for spurts all right, but then it does pause pretty hard. Need to eventually look into a better camera. Yeah, I like that. It's much less of a pronounced like off period at the end there. Feels a lot more naturally like it's just bouncing back. I'm still not quite sure if it's the exact same. It may not be the exact same on this end, actually. I think it might be off. It does feel actually maybe like it turns off on that end and not this end. We probably need... Oh, well, we didn't put the same logic here. Duh. I also didn't make a current index, but I guess in this case current index is just I. Oh, paused on us on the camera. Oh yeah, there we go. It does have like a split second where it kind of hangs on the end there. And then that pause in the middle, that was the camera. Yeah, okay, let me watch it direct. Yeah, okay. I do think it spends one delay timeout. I think it spends one of these delays with just the end one on by itself, which is, well, two actually, one extra, I should say. It turns on one and then it actually turns it on again, even though it's already on, but it stays there for an extra delay. So there is like one extra sort of heartbeat on the ends there. I think I like, for now at least. Let's see what it's like when we actually play it. I think I actually like that because it gives you a chance to like kind of reset and get ready for it to come up to the middle again. Gives you that kind of split second to Pose yourself and get ready for the next try. So we want to make a target zone. Target zone, I think we should plan for the target zone to be multiple LEDs, but then maybe eventually it's going to get down to just one. So I'm going to say that target zone is a list, I think. It's going to be a list of LED indexes. So to start with, actually, I'm also going to make a function called like def build target zone list, and it's going to take a LED count, and it's going to take a zone size, and that's it. Yeah. So we're going to pass it, for instance, like 30 and, 3 maybe start with, or 5. Maybe we'll start with 5. What do we got there? Woo, nice. Oh, you got it running on a ring, kind of the same sort of deal. Or is that, what is going on there? It looks like it's like lasering down to the wood. I guess that's just the way the camera is, picking it up there. It makes it look like a laser pointer dot though. That's pretty crazy. That's wild. Nice. I like it. Yeah, you could do the same sort of game with a ring like that. They even have those big sections too. You could do like, you built out a big board. That would be pretty cool. What are the biggest ones? I think they have like quarters at least, maybe bigger. Makes like, I think there's ones that make a big circle. LED circle? I don't know what it would be called though. Okay. 60. Are there not segments? I think there are segments though. NeoPixel rings. Oh my. One quarter, 60. Ah, there we go. Okay, these are the ones I'm thinking. One quarter. Okay, so the full ring is 60. This is a quarter of it, which is, I guess, probably 15. Solder them on the ends. Don't know the full diameter. Probably looks about like 7 or 8 inches. Something like that. Diameter? 6.2. Using the 16ing. Plug it into the PIR port on the top. Oh, I don't have mine soldered. Did you put a little 6-pack of header pins on there, or did they start coming soldered eventually? I do think my Funhouse was very early run. There might be changes. I don't remember if there was another rev or whatever. Mine just has empty, or is it on the back? Oh. Oh, okay, okay. It's on the back. I'm with you now. Okay. I see. Okay, so let's say soldered wires to the pins. Nice. Let's say we want, I think, we want to find the indexes that are in the middle of our strip of LEDs. That's what this function is going to do. So for one thing, it needs to find the middle. Middle equals LED count over 2, but our LEDs, also we have 30. So 15 is the middle-ish, but it's actually to one side or the other. Because ours is even, so maybe we should be actually having an even-sized zone, either 2 LEDs or 4 or 6. Or maybe the target zone moves. Maybe the target zone's not always in the middle. For now, I think I'm just going to let it be kind of off to one side slightly, though. The middle, we're just going to say it's LED count over 2. So ours, we're going to pass in 30. It's going to give us back 15. Do we want a -1, though? Because 29 is actually our highest index. I guess it just depends on which side of the actual middle we want to be on. I think we will -1. We're actually going to end up down on 14. And then basically we want to get like, we want to count upwards on either side of middle equal to zone size over 2. For I in range, zone size over 2. So if we gave it 4 as our zone size, it's going to say for I in range 2, means it's going to loop over 0 and 1. We're going to turn... Is that going to work, though? It's going to loop over 0 and 1, and we're going to turn... the 0 is going to throw it off, actually. Maybe we want to start at 1. That's actually also going to give us 5, not 4. Unless we don't include the middle. But we do. We want the middle? I think we do want the middle. Okay, maybe different strategy. Let's not count. Yeah, different strategy. Let's say we want to loop from middle minus zone size over 2 to middle plus zone size over 2. Is that right? That's still going to give us +1 extra, isn't it, I think? Let's see what this does. Is actually, it's gonna get middle in twice if we do this. So 30 and let's say 4. Let's see what we get. We're not connected though. Although it would be on the display probably. It's the nice thing about having a display. Can't quite see it though. "12, 13, 14, 15. Okay, we did not get 5, which is good. Yeah, I think that's pretty good. There's a case to be made. I mean, I think we're on the, we're on the near side of the halfway point, but we're always going to be, well, actually, we could be on the actual halfway point because we do have 4 pixels. Is this the actual halfway point? Should we be shifted to the right one? Which 2 indexes are the middle? Let's turn these on and see what it looks like. One thing is we're gonna have to change this logic too, because we're gonna want to turn the middle zone on and not turn it off. Let's make another helper def fill target zone. And I think we also need like how's it going, King or North? Previous index is not in the target zone, then turn it off. Else, if it was in the target zone, then set it to the target zone color. So the bouncy LED will overwrite the target zone color, but instead of turning off when it moves, it will go back to the target zone color. That's actually the same logic. Oh. Actually, let's keep it. What? Oh. Put this up here, does it work? Or is it a actual like scope problem? 25, fill target zone? Oh, int? Actually, this should make ints, truthfully. Here we should go int. There we go. Okay. Yeah, that's what we want. We got our target zone. The bouncer goes through it, and your goal is to stop it while it's in there. Okay, we are definitely, we're one pixel too close to 0 for the middle. Kind of roughly got it in half-ish right there. I'm not gonna like hold it flat because I do think the while it is flexible, it's not necessarily like you can still break it. I think the connection's in there, but I got it close enough to have to tell that we're definitely 1 pixel on the top side there too far. Maybe we don't want this. Yep. That looks better. Yeah. Okay. We're making a reaction test game, basically. King or North. The LED bounces back and forth, the one color, whatever it is. This, and right now it's like this teal color, but we'll be able to change it up. It'll bounce back and forth. The target zone, right now we've got it in the middle. We may end up changing it to where it could be in other places as well, but your goal is to try to press the button. We got a big old button here. Goal is to press the button to stop it while it's in the middle target zone. And then like each time you succeed, it'll go to the next round where it will move faster and then eventually also shrink the target zone to make it harder. So it'll have like two ways to make it harder and harder, and then eventually you'll miss, and I don't know, it'll play maybe that's where we'll use the LED animations, is at the end of the game. Maybe we'll run some animations for a bit. So we got the basics of this going, and we can always, like, we have a couple of levers, like cur delay is going to allow us to speed it up. Target zone is going to allow us to get a different sized target zone. Let's test it with a bigger one. Maybe let's test 6 and just make sure that's roughly, yeah, that's looking same half there, looking pretty good. I mean, even 8 we could do. Let's look at 2. So maybe we'll do 2 is the hardest for mine, since it's an even number of LEDs. If we did do a single 1, it would always be on one side or the other. Guess is not the end of the world, especially if we get to the point where we're moving it to different places other than the middle anyway. So maybe that's like mega hard mode. After you get past a bunch of hard levels of 2, maybe eventually then you get to like hell mode and it just turns on a single 1 and it's in a random spot wherever it wants. You have to hit it right on that pixel, so you have to get it exactly perfect. Right. So I almost think we want like let's see here. We need, I guess, some kind of structure for the game. I guess we should probably just have a state machine, I think. So the target could continuously move and change size. Oh, if the target moved itself back and forth or something, or around a little bit, maybe back and forth a little bit, maybe not quite all the way to the edges. That'd be interesting. Yeah, change size, I do think, like between levels, although during the level would be interesting as well if the target was like kind of like pulsing bigger or whatever. That could be kind of interesting. You know, one thing we could also use the LED animations for maybe is, well, I think it gets tricky if we want to also have our little thing bouncing back and forth. I was going to say, what if we run an animation on just the target zone LEDs? We set them up as their own like independent strip part and run like a pulse animation on them or something. But then I think our bouncer one will, I don't know how it will interact with it. So what other states? We're gonna have state playing, state game over. Oops. So idle is what it does by default. We could potentially run an animation during idle. State playing, it's going to go to when somebody starts actually playing. Probably they press a button to start it for the first time. They're going to play until they lose. It's going to be in state playing the whole time, I think. Just looping through each level, basically. Whenever they lose, it's going to go to state game over, where it will play some other sort of animation for a couple of seconds, and then go back to state idle and wait for the next person to press the button to go into state playing. Or let's be honest here, to wait for the same person to press the button again, because definitely the kinds of people who are playing this are playing it more than once, I'm thinking. You definitely got to take another try at it after you do lose finally. So the next kind of question is, do we want to keep this for loop logic as the main sort of loop here, I wonder? I mean, I guess we could keep it when we're inside the playing state. Just 1 second. Here. Where? Okay. Oh, nice. Did you, Dexter, I think I didn't see the full message, but you may have left a comment or something on the modules examples, so I definitely appreciate that. Thank you. Go look at that today. Whoa. Whoa. A strange place to pause. Okay. Interesting. Yeah. Nice. Thanks for trying that out. Definitely appreciate it. Oh, I had... Interesting. No. I guess here we're gonna go while we're in the state. I guess we also need a current state. Cur state. We'll go, I guess we'll start in idle. So I guess we could maybe get LED animation, and maybe we'll play some fun animations during idle. So we'll call this if cur state is state playing, then we will do these things. We'll have the logic in here for the button listening eventually. If cur state is idle. Sort of zoom examples work fine. Sweet. Awesome. Here we have, basically we're just gonna run an animation. Do we need to set one up though? Yeah, probably. Maybe we'll keep one and we'll either have it be null or we'll have it be an initialized animation. And then if it is null, we'll initialize it, and if it's not, then we'll just call, I think it's called animate function. No, I should just type the name of the repo if I'm going to type that much to get to it, but... Rainbow animations are always fun. Yeah, let's see if we can have it run all of these things while it's in idle. That's kind of a lot, but the more cool stuff it does during idle, the more likely it's going to get somebody's attention and make them want to stop and play with it. Although I will say maybe we'll tend towards Chase and the Comet style animations have more heavily than some of the others, since those are also similar to the game animation, you know? We already have our pixels set up. Oh, actually, we can, yeah, never mind. We don't need a none, actually. We can always just, we'll we can always just set all these up. None of these take the length? I guess only pixel num here. Okay. We may tweak some of these numbers to make it, I mean, theirs is 32, I guess, which is pretty close. And so animations animate is all that. So yeah, basically we'll just, when we're not in idle, we're not calling this, and therefore our animations aren't running. Therefore, theoretically, this shouldn't be bothering our actual game state. So let's see if that starts running. Okay. Got some rainbow action there. Rainbow chase action. Yeah, this one will be a good one to play during idle. We'll have that one run longer, maybe. One of these could also be the if you win. Some of these, actually, maybe a couple of them could be the if you win or when you win. Or even when you, I guess really when you lose, right? Because we don't really have a defined win necessarily, but maybe it'll choose an animation to play at the end based on how many levels you beat. Maybe we'll get the totally subjectively judged to be cooler animations the higher your level score is. And the more basic animations, the lower your level score is. I don't know if we want to go that far with it, honestly, though. We could just make everybody get the cool animations. I think that's fun, too. Okay, so this is working pretty well. Again, the pauses are in the camera, not the actual LEDs. I do think the chase, I don't know if this is chase or comet, but I do think this is a really good one to run for the idle. We should definitely have that one go longer. And maybe we should just do that one during idle. Maybe we do the rest of these when you win. Yeah, that could be a good way to do it. I do kind of like that. Maybe we'll have idle animations equals animation sequence. Can you put it in two things, or do I need to make another one? It's probably comet, I guess. I think. Well, actually, we don't need to make an animation sequence if we're just going to have the one, yeah? I think actually we can just call comet. Well, rainbow comet. Animate. Will this make it just do that one back and forth? Whoops, wrong screen. Yeah. And you can tweak the tail and other stuff about it. Tail length, speed. Go a little faster if we want. Bounce true is good because that's the same basic logic that our game has. Bouncing back and forth like this. Yeah, this one I think is a really good one to use for idle, actually, because this is basically what the game is. So now we need to go figure out whenever the button gets pressed, we want to change from, idle mode over to playing mode, the states rather, not modes, but states. And so right now I don't actually have this button plugged in. This is the plug for this big button. And I'll eventually want to use a button like this one. I don't know if it'll actually be this one. I may try to get a different button. I may try to figure out a longer cord for it as well. I don't know exactly. I think it'll be good to have a little bit more length on it to be used in the wild, just so it's not, this is awfully short. It could get yanked out or something. So we could either start by just using the onboard buttons, or we could go ahead and plug this in and see if we get it working. I'd say let's go for it. Let's do the hardware. I'm going to plug this into, so I have, on this one I have white and black wired, but no red. So my understanding is red is probably 3 volts, black is ground, white is the GPIO pin, which in this case we're going to plug it into A1 right here. So we're basically bridging A1 to ground through our button, which I assume is a normally open button, but we'll find out when we actually start using it. So my assumption is when we press the button, the GPIO pin is going to connect to ground. So we'll start from there and see if that matches reality or not. Go. Okay. So we're going to need digital I/O, read buttons, possibly debouncer if we want it. We want it to be debounced. We don't really care when it gets released, I guess. We do care that it was previously pressed. I'll probably just have my own debouncing logic. Unless I need anything fancy or like double clicks or long clicks or anything, I tend to just make my own debouncing logic more often than use a library. Digital I/O is another one I don't actually just have committed to memory the exact setup. Probably get pretty close from memory, but you could also just reference one of the plentiful, very helpful basic guides that show us. There are numerous for digital I/O specifically. This is not one of them though, actually. This one is more like getting set up and running. I think Essentials is what we want. CircuitPython Essentials. We're gonna have an input. X. Page is broken. Is the actual camera broken? Oh yeah, it sure is. Oh. Back, but it's not live. Hmm. Oh. Hmm. Uh-oh. Well, this is gonna be somewhat more awkward if we can't have a camera working. I did change to a totally different device. I was having, I mean, for the longest time, like ever since I started streaming, my camera's always worked fine. I've been using the same overhead camera for the majority of the time. And it's been working fine up until a couple of weeks ago. It started getting me trouble. And I actually switched it out for a different phone. It's an Android phone. That's what the overhead camera is. I switched it out for a different one. A couple weeks. This one seemed to be alright for a little bit. Now I'm starting to get the same kind of errors where it's like just freezing up and not loading and crashing. I feel like as soon as I focus it, it breaks. Our frame rate plummeted. Hmm. Alright, 1 second. Alright, wish us luck here. So we're gonna refresh this. Try to focus it. Okay. We're good for the moment at least. Sorry about that. Axel Magnus, evening all. F1 in Baku went well. Ferrari on top. Nice. Nice. Hope you had fun watching, cheering along. All the fun stuff that goes along with race. I haven't seen too much F1 myself. But I could see how it'd be interesting. It's definitely, I'm definitely fascinated by the performance they squeeze out of every last bit of the car. Pretty crazy some of the stuff they do where like every little bit of weight matters everywhere where it's at. Like there's no stone left unturned for trying to squeeze performance out of the car. It's kind of crazy. Where were we at here? So we got the button. We need to get our... Did I ever end up pasting that in? I can pull my browser back as well here. This on this side. No. Probably want direction too. And pull, I guess, also. There we are. F1 is not a sport. It's an engineer geek art competition. It's a sport too for the drivers, but yeah, it's kind of a mashup of both. It's a bit like BattleBots with an onboard person. We're not necessarily trying to break the other ones exactly. It's pretty crazy. I wonder when they will take the driver out. I guess people who are really into it will resist that kind of change, but I do think it would be nice if we could do that without like people getting hurt. But I also watched like fighting was a form of competition I watched for a long time, and people definitely get hurt in fighting. So there's lots of competitions where people do get hurt. Also, I mean, like, I'm in America, and, like, football is huge here. American football. Definitely people are always getting hurt for. I don't watch it quite as much these days, but it's definitely, like, a cultural thing. Driverless cars would be cool, though. That's, like, another layer of the engineering, is if the car can, like, not necessarily drive itself, but, like, you can put the pilot in a cockpit elsewhere, right? Like especially F1 drivers. Like I've seen some of those race car drivers, like their home, you know, racing simulator game setup Like, they got fully fledged crazy cockpits, like tens of thousands of dollars of a cockpit, like a nice driving chair, the real like steering wheel hooked up to the game, the pedals. Like, some of them have like super elaborate cockpits. And I bet you they have like training ones that are even more realistic to the exact cars. So like, I think eventually they should take the driver out of the car and make the cars into basically RC, and the driver's in a cockpit somewhere else and he drives it just like real, and it responds to all of his motions and stuff, but he's not actually in there. That way when it goes sideways, it's not nearly as bad, hopefully. We paused again. Oh, this camera is gonna kill me. Oh. Ha! Ha 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 ha. We didn't pause again. The code paused. The code stopped. It's probably through an error or something. That's funny. I think we're on A1. A1. Let's do that one. We basically just want to check this, but I guess the thing is we do want to check it, like, we're going to have to check it inside of here because right now these are our loops. So like our game will be inside of here during execution. But I think what we want maybe is like a check button. Check button? Do we even need that? I mean, you could just go value true. Maybe it's not, maybe we don't need a check button. You can, we can just, maybe we should have a handle button. You call handle button and it has its own state machine check inside of it. And so if we're in idle state, then handle button moves to playing state. And if we're in playing state, then handle button stops the bouncing LED and determines if you were inside the target zone or not. And that's probably it. I guess maybe if you're in game over, it could skip forwards to idle. Game over state I don't intend to take more than a couple of seconds anyway, though, so I'm not sure we need to make a way to skip past it. Probably will, though. I guess it's good, like, user experience to be able to skip stuff like that if they want. Especially, again, if the person wants to, like, just try again right away. Or if they're, like, 4 games deep already and they've already seen the animations and they really want to just play again and win. Yeah, I think I like that approach. This way we can have one button. We only have one-liners inside of here in the logic, but it can actually be deciding more elaborately what to do in here. And it keeps all of our button logic kind of together. It's about breaking at the exact right moment. 6Gs, you don't get that in a simulator. I'm all for autonomous cars. Yeah, I think that would be another fun one as well, is like who can write the program that drives the car the best. That would be a lot of fun. As a programmer, for me, I guess, at least. Like, I'm not drawn to driving the cars. I'm sure the drivers would hate it, obviously, but I want to program a car. And then not be in it, and not have it drive around people. That's the other thing, I guess. If I'm going to program the car, I don't really want the people that close to it. Handle button. So, actually, we could also build the debouncing logic into here, I think, maybe. Actually, I guess true. Because we're pulling it to up and then we're connecting it to ground when we press the button. At least that's our first guess. The previous value is going to be true. It's going to be true by default. If button.value come out 0 or false? Comes out false, maybe. I mean, I guess you could also just say if not button value. If not button value and... Actually, we should read it. Cur button val. Should read it once and then reference our variable the rest of the time. That way it can't change from time to time when we reference it inside of here based on the circuit. So let's go if not current button val, and we want then also to make sure that current button val is different, so not equals previous button val. So basically it won't trigger, it'll only trigger once when it gets pushed, and then you have to release it before it can trigger again. At the end of this, we're going to set previous button val to current. If not, okay, so inside of here, so this is our sort of just high-level debouncing. Here is where we'll now have the state logic as well. So if cur state equals state idle, then we just want to move on to state play. So we're going to say cur state equals state playing. What's wrong? Cur state? Unresolved? It's not global, so I can't use it or something? Is that the problem? So I guess maybe I should make an object that holds all of this stuff so that it's in its own scope together. I don't know. I have a game object. So if everything works, this should at least allow us to get from idle to playing. Let's give that a try. So there's our idle animation. Press the button, crash the code. So it moved, which is good. We changed states. Problem is the state we went to is crashed. Local variable reference before assignment. It's not global also. See, this is the weird thing about states to me too, though, right? Because button is not going to have to be global, right? We'll check it, but I think button doesn't have to be global since we're accessing an attribute, and it doesn't make sense to me why state, if we want to access its value directly and we want to set its value directly, and previous button value, if we want to access its value directly, they have to be global, but button.value doesn't have to be global. We can see button, we can see value, it's all fine. I think that's how it works at least. Maybe I'm wrong, so we'll see, but I did press it and it stopped, but we didn't actually end up in state playing, I don't think, so maybe I was wrong. Well, actually, it didn't crash this time. Printed 14 and 15. This would have been back at the beginning, though, for the target state. Huh. So I think what happened maybe is that the animation turned off auto show on the LED. So I think in here we actually want to go pixels.auto-write equals true again. So I suspect the animation will have turned that off. We could, I notice it's turning on our target zone at the beginning. Doesn't really matter because it overwrites it as soon as the rainbow passes it, but we may make it not turn on those target zone ones at the beginning there. Press the button. There we go, yeah. So one thing we'll want to do is when we do switch to the game state, we should clear the rainbow. Clear the rainbow. So we should also inside of here go filxels. That was like a combination of pixels and fill. Try to like make that into one word there. Filxels dot 0 or something. I don't know what I was doing. Let's do that. Pixels fill 0. That sounds better. Now when we switch, it should erase the rainbow, start the game board, although these were off, so we should also turn those on. So I guess we should call fill target zone as well. There we go. Now we're ready to start playing. And our button is working, obviously, because we made it to, we managed to get to the next zone. So we know our button reading is working as well. We will end up making the target zone bigger. Doesn't matter too much for right this instant. We can remove the first call to fill target zone. We don't really need that anymore. So we don't want to have it before the rainbow starts. The rainbow should just be running on a blank strip. We go to the game. Okay, so let's make our handle button for the game. Pirate, yeah, I do. I have the pirate. I have the pirate language version loaded. True. I will oftentimes, when I go to grab a new one, if I think about it, I'll grab the. Especially this happens most if I'm looking for absolute newest, like when there's not a beta release, but I want absolute newest, and so then I'm on S3, and when I'm already on S3, Pirate's right in the list there, and I can't resist, so I grabbed the pirate one. I thought it said in here the language. I guess not, though. But yeah, definitely is the pirate language. We should probably update this, truthfully. So if we're in state playing, then we basically want to. This gets weird actually, because we need to know which. We need to know which index we're on. Now we'll be able to know what index we're on inside handle buttons if we make it global. So basically what we want to know is if the current index is in the target zone. Lose level. If you lose, then it's going to go cur state equals game over state. And I guess we'll probably want to do a bunch of these things as well, I assume, or at least this one probably. We don't actually have a game over state yet, so let's add that. Cur state, game over state. Then I think we'll just run the big animation sequence or whatever it's called, animations. Handle button also. And then in handle bundle, we will have if cur state game over. We want to go to idle. It's also weird, like I don't have to global state playing, but I can get its value to put in cur state. But if I want to compare values, instead of setting this value to this one made me have global here, I thought. I don't know. Quite get the scopes, I guess. Cur index. Okay. Oh, it doesn't want is in, rather, it just wants in. So we're gonna change to the idle. We might as well fill 0. Should we fill 0? Maybe we should just let the animation take over the game. Yeah, let's leave it. You want to do anything else? We maybe just go to idle, I guess. Well, okay, if you're going from game over... Okay, if you're going from game over to idle, then I don't think we need to... Well, then I do think we should fill. And I guess we'll have to either call show or turn auto show back off again. But idle is another animation, so we might as well just leave auto show off because it's going to just turn it back on again. So we could just call show. So from game over to idle, we blank it out. But from playing to game over, I think we don't blank it out. We just let the animation overwrite the game pixels. Otherwise, read only. Oh, need globals for setting. But I feel like it made me have one for this, and I'm not setting. Am I? Oh, I am down here. But it's red here. So it's not setting it here. I mean, it's accessing it. I would say accessing it for a if expression like this should be the same as accessing it for putting its value inside here. In my mind, at least, that's how it would work, how I would assume it works. But it actually fails up here on resolve reference. And so we can't even read it. It's like the Boolean expression is a special kind of reading. Or I guess the other option too is like the linter inside PyCharm might be getting confused. Like maybe it flags this, but the real error is actually down here. It's just confused about where it's at, maybe. So we could have 2 for that. Yeah, I think we might be there, honestly. Oh, we never did, I guess. We didn't do anything for win level, I suppose. We should, well, we basically need to go to the next level. Okay. So we're gonna need some globals in here as well, because we're gonna be setting some things global, particularly the delay. target zone. Yeah, mostly those two, I think. I think I also want actually a cur level. Cur level plus equals 1. And so I think what we'll do is we'll have a couple breakpoints, like when you're above level, 3, the target zone will shrink, and when you're above level, 7 or something, the target zone will shrink again or something. But then in between each level, I think the main thing it will do is just speed up. So cur delay equals 0.1 minus some multiple of the level. So let's say cur level over 100? What is that going to leave us with? See if that's even like going to make a dent. Maybe we should start a bit slower to give us more room to go. Yeah, because that we would only have 10 levels worth before we can't get any faster. I guess is maybe not too bad. I don't know how many levels we need to have necessarily. I suppose we could have a win when it's just, well, I mean, you can play it on the top speed, but it seemed very fast. We'll start on 0.2. Did I get the divide by 100 right, though? Yeah, okay. Yeah, let's try like that, I think. And so then instead of, we'll do the base delay here, which is 0.2. Could, I guess, make a starting delay variable if we really wanted. Then we wouldn't have to change this to 2 spots, but I'll leave it for now. Cur delay 0.02. We subtract out the current level. We basically have 20 levels before we have no sleep delay at all. Actually, I don't know what happens if you pass. Happens if you give a negative number to time.sleep. I'm not gonna like break the universe, am I? Value error, okay. Yeah. So we'll do that, and then we'll also say if cur level is greater than, we'll call it 10, then your target zone is going to become I think 2 once you're past level 10. You're past level, maybe this should be higher than 10. Say level 12. I don't know exactly how, we may tweak these numbers a bit, but say 12 there. Let's say maybe 6 here. well, if you're greater than level 6, then you get 4 for your target zone. If you're greater than level 3, 2? Maybe we'll go level 2. Because we're actually starting technically on level 0 as well. Then we'll give them the 6. And then maybe else we'll give them the we'll give them 8, which is 8 should be super easy, I think. That's like almost a third of the entire strip. Okay, so one thing is we're just gonna call next level inside handle button, which is basically just gonna be happening inside of here. Also, I guess the time sleeps are gonna throw this off, aren't they? Technically, that's gonna mess up the button. We should probably refactor this now and not use time sleep. Let's see if the basic flow of this works, but yeah, before we do much more, we should refactor this to not use time sleep and instead use like a if enough time has passed since the previous one. Boy, it's gonna be weird inside the for loops though. Yeah, honestly, a bunch of this logic might change. This might have been a good candidate for async IO as well, truthfully. With async IO, maybe the LEDs could be in their own task, which means they could sleep in order to have their animations and stuff. But the buttons could also be in its own task, and therefore it could get a chance every cycle to actually check the button state. This probably would have been a good candidate. That would also mean some of these variables could end up on an object, which would help alleviate my globals weirdness, kind of. Okay, let's see if the basic flow works here, though, because we should be able to, I think, beat the level and move on to the next one. Are we in REPL? Oh, we will eventually, well, if we're getting rid of time sleep, then it's not going to matter, but eventually, as written right now, this will end up being negative and it will throw that exception. We should also start with a bigger target zone at the very beginning. And we might as well keep using this thing instead. That way, if we change to a different LED strip, it'll be, we won't have to change very much. Oh. Did I not push it enough? Oh. Oh. It says lose level. Right, so the thing is, it's going into here, it's setting the state to playing, and then it's immediately checking if the state is playing. And it is, and our thing is not in the target zone, so we immediately lose. So really, we need to actually, I think, return from here. Return from all of these, that way we don't do anything else after each of them. And oh, but that's not going to work, though, because of this. We make it elif. There we go. I did press it in there. Not sure it counted. Doesn't seem like it's counting. I held it down that time. I think would have got rid of my time.sleep issues, so I'm not sure this is working right. So I'm printing that. Yeah, we need it in here somewhere. I guess we'll just put it before the sleep for now. But yeah, this is where the sleep is actually going to throw off the buttoning. You're going to have to hold the button down if you happen to press it while it's sleeping. There we go. So I got a win level that time, and I believe it would have sped up a little bit here. I believe it did. See how far we can get here. I definitely feel it speeding up. It should shrink here pretty soon, I think. Oh, you know what though? We never did call fill target zone. Although it should change still when the swiper goes across it. Oh, actually, we are down to 6. Yeah, we are on 6 right now, so it must have already changed. I just didn't catch it. Let's keep going. Okay, yeah, now we're down to 4, too. Well, we're down to 4 as well. I'm going to start looking at the LEDs instead of the screen. Now we're down to 2. Oh, I felt like I missed. Oh, yeah, I did miss it. I was like, I felt like I missed it. So it actually runs. It felt like it ran the rest of the bounce after I lost. We could push once and get back into idle state. And so at this point, the whole loop should work. I can play again by pressing here. Oh, our target zone. Yikes. Okay, we do gotta fix that. I could play on this. You know, it would have not reset the speed either. Although I guess if we beat the first level, then it will call next level, and then it will reset the zone, but it won't redraw it. Well, it'll redraw it when the bouncer goes past it. Oh, I shouldn't have been looking at the screen. Yeah, I lost because I was looking at the screen, not the LEDs. Oh, I'm gonna use that as my excuse. I feel like I could have beaten it. Okay, we do want when we go from idle to playing, we should set it back to the base stuff. The original delay and honestly, if we just set, well, but this goes up to 1. Okay, so I think what we want to do is before we change the target zone, Actually want to do this. Color equals target zone color. Color. So before we change the target zone, we're going to go fill target zone with 0 to turn it off. And then after we change it, we're then going to go fill target zone. We can leave it default, so it's going to go to target zone color. So now when it changes, it should actually update the size right away. I think what was happening is logically it was updating the size, but then visually it only changed when the bouncer LED actually passed it. But this should make it change right away. So when we go to state playing, we should reset the levels, the target zone, and the delay. Possibly the easiest way to reset all of those things is just put the cur level on -1 and then call it to get it up to 1. I don't know, maybe we don't want it to do these two things though. Just reset them all back. Nope. So when we go from idle to playing, we'll initialize, and so it should reset back to the easiest difficulty. Yeah, I think it shrunk right there. Quite a bit slower. We could maybe make the first couple levels still a little harder. You could also double up if you're quick. You could press the button twice on one pass through. It's much harder later in the game when your target zone is smaller. That's definitely the speedrunner strat, is catch it a couple times on each pass. They kind of turn off when I press the button. Not sure what's up with that. Oh, it's getting hard. Oh my. Oh my. Yeah. Oh, I got it. Oh my goodness. That's... I don't think... Okay, we're gonna give it a try. Here we go. Okay. You ready? Nope, nowhere close. It should pause. Okay, this game's definitely fun for one thing. I think we could ease out the beginning levels. Let's make those. They could be a tad harder. The first few feel pretty silly. It picks up difficulty pretty quick there. I feel like right at the end we ramped up really darn hard. So maybe we could also tweak the delay algorithm to... Maybe it also has buckets where it's not necessarily getting that much faster each time. Maybe that goes more on a curve a bit. We could always tweak that. I think another thing that would be good is I think when you lose, it should stay on. It should stay where it's at. That way you have a chance to see like where it was, right? Like I think it was over here somewhere, but it was only a split second before it started playing the game over animations. We should probably take the comet out of the game over animations, truthfully. We could also have it print on the screen, maybe the current level at some point. But yeah, this will definitely be a fun game. I had fun playing it right there. Yeah, we're gonna have to refactor it tonight. I mean, we should refactor it to not use sleep. Which makes this kind of can't really use for loops anymore either. But honestly, our for loop logic is kind of convoluted, truthfully. Now that we have a current index, we could just say current index plus equals 1 until it gets to 29, and then minus equals 1 until it gets back down to 0. I guess we can, it's true false, right? We can just have false as the other one. We don't need a different variable. Okay, so in state idle, everything stays the same, but in state playing, it's actually going to change. I think what I'm going to do is comment out my for loops for now, so I can reference the logic in them, but we're basically rewriting all this logic. So we're saying, okay, while we are counting up, so if we're moving up, while we're moving up, we want to go cur index plus equals, plus equals 1. If cur index is equal to the max, which is length of pixels, we want to change to moving down. Maybe continue. Not sure if we want continue or not. What is wrong with this? Oh. So if it's going down, we're gonna go minus equal 1. And if it gets down to minus 1, we actually want to do two things here. Not only do we want to change this to moving up, we actually want to change cur index back down 1. because it's going to get up to 30, but we want it to go back down to 29 because that's the last valid index. Do forget to try to start again to make sure the level... Do forget to try the start again to make sure the level returned to start. Oh, yeah, good call. Yeah. We did go back to the base one that time. And you totally can skip through a couple of these if you're real fast on these ones. This would be even easier without the sleeps, too. I got 2 in that time. Got 3 in that time. Not sure if they all counted. Checking it out a bit here. I'm not going to double up anymore. Oh, I felt like I missed it. Oh yeah, I did. Yeah, it totally did. After lose level, it played the rest of the loop. I think that behavior is going to change when we're not in the for loops anymore. I think that will change. Not sure. So we're going to put that to 0 instead of -1. We're going to go moving down, or moving up. So our logic with cur... I guess we do still have the previndex logic. If previous index is not the same as current index... Oh, you know, though, one thing we will definitely still need, though, is if per time now, if now greater than equal last LED enum time plus per delay. Basically, if we get into this loop and it's not time to move yet, then we don't do anything. So don't do anything if previous is the same as current. The previous index is not in the target zone, then turn it off. If it is in the target zone, then set it to the target zone color. Update the previous index. I'm actually sure if we want these continues. We may not want these. I'm gonna try without them first. Based on if we're moving up or down, we actually do change the current index. After we've changed the current index, we set the current index to the bouncing color. It's not the same as the previous index, then we basically set the previous index back to what it needs to be, either off or target zone. We update the previous index. Our sleep we don't have because this is actually handled by this. Handle button we want to do. Okay, and then I think this logic will actually will make it go back and forth. So we don't really need this concept of two different for loops, really. We have one loop. This Boolean controls whether it's going up or down at any given time. All right, I have no idea if I got it right, but let's give it a try. That's our idle mode. Okay, it's a little fast. A lot fast, if I'm honest. Why is it so fast? Oh, we're not setting previous time. This one needs to be at the very end of this. If it was time, if we did move, basically. Equals now. That'll slow it down, I think. Oh yeah. I feel like that's about back to where we were. Half of the zone turns off when I click. I'm not sure what's up with that. Got 2 in that time. Should stop looking at the screen. I do want to figure out why part of the target zone is turning off when I click. Hopefully I'm not connecting to ground by pushing the button. A1 and A2 are definitely like different pins, right? We couldn't be crossing. It's connecting up. No, because one of them stayed on. Oops, missed it. I do want it to pause for a second after you lose, so it seemed to work mostly all right though, honestly. Didn't make it quite as far as some of the previous runs, but I guess we could try looping around again, see if it goes again. I should take the comet out of the idle animation, or out of the game over animations, since it's the idle one. I will play again though. It looks like we made it back to the... Got 2 that time. 2 that time. The other thing is it could, now that we are not inside for loops anymore, we actually have a lot of leeway. We could, like, after they click and get it in the target zone, we could just put the index back on 0, so it starts back at the edge, and that way you couldn't double click like that. Too early. Alright, so it shouldn't do the comet anymore. I do want to pause when we lose. So handle button, when we're playing, if we lose. I think we could even get by with, we could time sleep here, just like, I don't know, maybe 1 second? Doesn't need to be too long, just like long enough to see where, like how far off you were, basically. Like, did you miss by 1 or did you miss by the whole strip or whatever, right? That's really what we want that pause for. if we do start back on 0 to take away the double clicks, we definitely need to make the first few levels a little more challenging, I think. Because right now, even they're easy to double click through, and even double clicking through them, it feels like there's too many slow levels before it really picks up. Oh, okay, it paused. So I was like 1 off that time. I think I was like on the far edge. So it gave me the 1 second. Maybe it should pause. Maybe it should pause until you push the button? I don't know. Maybe 1 second's enough, or maybe we just give it another. Maybe we do 2 or 3 and call it good there. So I will say I did not get a great look at it. I was able to see easier than last time, but another second or 2 would be kind of nice, truthfully. Should not look at the screen. Instead, I should look at the LEDs. I think it registered my second one that time. Ah, I missed it. Yeah, that's pretty good, actually. That's plenty right there. You can definitely get a good look at where you were. Have it flash the current position red. We could do that. Run a blink animation for a couple of frames or something. Okay. Back to idle. Everything seems to be working pretty well. There's still some tweaks to make. Like I said, I want to tweak the difficulties around a bit. Like maybe our beginning delay will be a little bit lower, and maybe our per level change in delay will be a little bit less. Maybe we'll divide this by 200 or something. So we go down, like we speed up twice as slow or something, but we start faster initially. Something like that. Maybe we'll also potentially spend less time on 6. 6 still feels really easy. Maybe we should just start on 6 instead of 8. Yeah, that might be what we do, is just start on 6. And then maybe get down to 4 a little bit quicker. But then I do think you should play for a while on 4 before you get up to 2. Because 2 is quite a bit harder than 4. So I'll play around with the difficulties a bit. I think I'm going to head out for now, though. Going out to a zine con today, looking at like homemade little zines that people produce and write up. So that'll be cool. There's a local one of those going on where people set up booths for their artwork and their self-made zines and stuff. So that'll be fun. That's what I'm headed off to this afternoon. So thanks for hanging out, folks. Thanks for all the help and all the suggestions in the chat. Dexter, Kinger, Seagrover, Axel Magnus, if you're still around, thanks for tuning in again. Hope I think they still have more races the rest of the weekend or something. Hope you enjoy the rest of them if there is still more going on there. And yeah, I don't know exactly when I'll be back for certain. Certainly by Friday I'll be back for a deep dive, but it's a good chance I'll be popping on my stream sometime before then, either maybe Monday or who knows, possibly even tomorrow or some other day this week. So follow me on Twitch if you want to get notified of that. Thanks again to everybody, and I'll catch you all next time. Hope everybody has a good day and a good weekend, all that such.